You ask about a very interesting moment in Jim Swartner and Rick Perry's lives. There was I think it was the '07 legislative session. We had met a young lady who was dying of cervical cancer. Her name was Heather Burcham. Just a beautiful, vivacious young lady. And she was part of the catalyst that brought me to the conclusion that we needed to do something as a state. 100% of the, or a large portion of the cervical cancer comes from the human papillomavirus. And there is a vaccine that will protect young men and women from that. And as much as Texas has done over the course of the years with MD Anderson and our pursuit to defeat a lot of different cancers, this made sense to me. And in the office one day, this young, I think 30-year-old with what you would think was an incredibly bright future in front of her, but she knew she was terminal. We were just having a conversation, and I have a few dead animals in my office from my days of hunting. And she pointed out one of those, and she said, I would love to go hunting. She said, I've never even shot a rifle before. I said, I bet you I can address that. So we made plans a month later to go south of town to a gentleman's place who has some black buck antelope and beautiful place, John Byram's ranch. And I took her. John helped her learn how to shoot the rifle, and we were going to go. We talked through the whole thing about the taking of the animal and the appropriate, thoughtful way that we were going to do this, and the harvesting of this animal, and then we were going to have it dressed out, and she was going to have some great meat to take home. And anyway, long story short, we were not successful in our hunt. But we were driving around the ranch, and I said, Heather, anything else that you've never done in life that you just kind of like, your bucket list? And she said, I'd never ridden a motorcycle before. John Byram had a big Honda 1800 V-Rod in his garage. I knew it was there. I said, that's pretty amazing. I said, come on, he's got a 5,000-foot strip on the ranch. And so we got in it, rode up and down the runway, and our hair was blowing, and it was great fun. Got in a kind of a sawed-off Suburban where you can sit up and look at the animals, and we were driving around just looking at the critters that he has on his place. And probably an hour later, I said, what else? I said, man, we've gotten 2 of your bucket list things taken care of today. I said, what else in life? She said, I've always wanted to take a helicopter ride. Well, that one had me stumped. No helicopters around. And we drove around, looked at, talked, and 30 minutes later, from Austin comes a helicopter. By, turns, circles, lands on the pad, the tarmac of Mr. Byram's ranch strip. And we drive around, and I recognize it's his helicopter. I get out, I walk over, he's still sitting in there, it's going, he's got his headset on. I said, don't cut it off. Take this girl for a ride. I'll explain it later. Take her around the front, put her in the front seat, she puts her helmet on, and I'll let him finish the rest of the story.
There are times in life, we know that God talks to us from time to time, but you always wonder if it's a clear signal. This day was a very clear signal for me. My friend John Byram had just lost his wife about 3 months before, Sally Byram. And we've been friends for a long time. I knew he would come out to the ranch in the afternoons. I was gathering cattle at my ranch in Swertner, and I had this urge to go check on John. I flew out towards the ranch at Dripping Springs, and I turned around. And then I had this urge to turn around and go back. John needs me. I need to check on him. So when I land, I don't know any of this is going on. I land in this Suburban that I knew, I recognized, I'd been in this Suburban with John and Gene at the times. It pulls up so close, I thought the rotor blades were going to hit everybody there. I see the governor. He jumps out, and I see this young girl in the back, puts the headsets on, says, Swertner, I don't have time to explain to you what's going on here, but this young girl's dying. I look at her, and she didn't look like she was dying. I thought maybe when we fly to Brackenridge, dying of cancer, and she wants to ride in a helicopter. So, this is a blur for me. I didn't even know the governor was going to be there. And so she gets in the helicopter, puts her headsets on, and says, hi, I'm Heather. I said, hi, I'm Jim. She says, the governor called you to come out here, didn't he? I said, no, ma'am, I didn't know the governor was going to be here. And I said, why? And she says, well, I just told the governor moments ago that I wanted to ride a helicopter, and here you show up. I said, well, trust me, he's not that good. There's somebody a lot more powerful that's talking to me and him. And so it dawned on me, she says, I'm a sinner, but I found the Lord, and I'm going to die of cervical cancer. But I feel fine. And I said, well, Heather, what do you want to see? I want to take you. Things were clicking now. I was trying to figure this out. Now I've got it. She said, well, if you have time, I'd like to see the governor's mansion from the air, the Capitol, and of all people, Sandra Bullock's house. And I'm thinking, boy, I know where two of the places are. And I said, well, do you happen to know where Sandra Bullock's house is? She says, yeah, I do. It's on Lake Austin. I said, well, I can get you to Lake Austin if you can. So we're flying along, and we fly over, and she's telling me the story now about how she met the governor. And I said, well, this is something else. And she finally said, she said, well, the Lord has spoken to all of us today, hadn't he? And I said, yes, he has. It's hard for me to fly because it's so emotional for me now that I know that God has gotten us all together for a reason, to celebrate life and let us know that he's talking to us. So on the way back, I show her the Capitol, I show her the mansion, she shows me where Sandra Bullock lives. And on the way back, this is the most emotional part for me, is she says, Mr. Swertner, I don't have any money, so I can't pay you for this ride. And I said, well, Heather, I don't expect any money from you. I said, this is such a treat for me and such an honor, and I'm still trying to figure out why all this happened. And I said, I've known the governor for 35 years, and I know what a strong Christian he is, and this is just blowing me away. She said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. She says, I'm probably not going to be on this earth much longer. And she says, but I'm making a deal with you. When I die, I'm going to tell God that I want to be your co-pilot every time you fly. So every time I fly in my helicopter or my airplane, I look over and say, Heather, you ready to saddle up?
Yep. She died a little later that year. And, you have moments in your life that you will never, ever, ever forget. One of them is marrying my wife, death of my father, my kids being born. But that moment, for me and you, when we got back that night and started comparing notes, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was pretty emotional.